Hey, everybody, this is Naja, your host of Blended in Black, the podcast. So today I have one of my very awesome, my close girlfriend here, Javana. Javana is an actress, a writer, director, all that good stuff in here in New York. But most importantly, she's a member of a blended family. She's gonna co-host with me today. She's gonna co-host. So what's going on, Javana? How you feeling today? What's
I'm
new?
feeling good. It's been a good day, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about this. So.
Yes. Oh,
Happy to be here.
I have to throw this out here. So Javana is her film that she just completed it's premiering at Tribeca Film Festival.
There is a film that I am currently in premiering at Tribeca. It's called Nobody's Watching. It's really cool. It's supposed to be coming out on Saturday, so I'm really excited I haven't even seen it yet. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen it. So I'm gonna see it on Saturday, and we'll see what happens. And what the story is all about.
Yeah.
But you guys should definitely check it out.
Check it out. So you guys know how this goes. We have the Blended in Black Facebook group, and that's where we talk about a lot of issues, and you guys know what goes down in the group. So I pull inspiration from the group. I'll find hot topics that have happened this week, and we come here and we talk about it. So we're going to talk about it. But first, Javana, you are in a blended family. So what's your blended scenario?
Well, I grew up in a blended family because my mother and father had joint custody of me. And at the time, the blended thing sort of happened when my mother got married, and the first time, because I was born out of wedlock. So my mother got married, and then my father got married a little bit later. And so I would, hop from place to place summer with him and during the school year with my mother. And I had to kind of maneuver and deal with different, family situations. I mean, I had a stepfather and I had a stepmother. And there was a lot of different dynamics going on. What I found is, if you want to talk about, dynamics amongst stepmothers or just if you have, new stepkids. If you're dealing with stepkids, you don't know how or you don't know what to do.
Okay.
I had a really positive experience with my stepmom. She was actually really fantastic because she didn't try to be my mom. She knew I had a mom, and she respected that. And she just tried to get to know me.
Did she and your mother get along? How was
they never talked, only because of the relationship that my mother had with my father. Unfortunately, there was many downfalls to the relationships too. There's different ways of managing it. I wouldn't say mine was managed well at all.
How in the heck did you turn out so normal?
I'm not normal, honey. I'm not normal.
You wear it well.
I try.
Everybody's kind of screwy though. We're all like a little bit jacked up. Like my parents have been married almost 40 years, and hey.
Yeah.
I can't say that they ain't crazy because, we all...
That's amazing, though.
Right,
really amazing.
Right. It's so cool, but, you still see two imperfect people put in an imperfect world, and they're trying to do the best they can with raising children. And in your case, your parents couldn't do it together, so they both found new partners.
Right. They found new partners, and the thing about them was they lived separate lives. They never spoke unless they had to, and they didn't really try to integrate families. There was none of that. And
so your mom had new children and your dad had, I don't want to say new, but additional children.
My mom had my half brother. I consider him my full brother.
Because you guys grew up together.
Yeah,
right?
We grew up together. That's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And then my father had children as well with his stepwife.
His new wife.
And right. Excuse me, stepwife. New wife. Yeah, his first wife, Leslie. And they also had a stepchild. Leslie brought in a child into the relationship. And so there was a lot going on, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because I don't think about it much, but yeah.
Were you close to your dad's other children and your siblings? Were you close to them?
They were so young, I never really got to build a relationship with them. Now they're older. One of my sister that my father had with his wife, she's at Spelman.
Okay.
My brother he's in high school right now. And then my stepsister, she's a graduate of Howard.
Okay.
And she's gone on to work, she's doing her thing. But I don't have a relationship with them because the dynamic with my father was so poor. We did not we didn't do well as I was growing up.
So
We
you
didn't have a
would,
good
if they had
relationship.
joint custody, that means you would go to visit. You would leave your mother to go visit your dad's house, your
Right.
dad's and his family. Did you feel welcome? Did you feel like an outsider? Did you have a bed there?
With my father, and when Leslie was around, because she passed away. She actually passed away.
Oh, wow.
But when she was alive, she tried to make me feel as at home as she possibly could. And she tried to build a relationship with me. Like I said, she knew I had a mother and she wasn't trying to mother me.
Right. Were you and
but
her
in
child?
a way she did. In a way she did, because she wanted to because she built a relationship with me.
Now, were you and her child that she brought into the marriage, did you guys get a chance to get close? Or were you close in age?
We could have. I just think the dynamic the relationship I had with my father was not great at all. So it affected a lot of things with relationships with her child, and just moving forward.
So once Leslie departed, Dad, is it safe to say the relationship with Dad and the other kids, it just
completely cut off?
So you didn't go over there anymore?
No, I did not. No, my father and I stopped speaking literally after the funeral. Yeah, so that's interesting, right? Because I think part of the reason why we were even, because there came to a point where I had the choice whether my parents could have joint custody. I think I hit around 13.
I was gonna say that normally is like 12 or 13. So
yeah.
So your parents were in court. So litigation was happening.
Did
you know about that though?
I did. I was aware.
Okay.
Like I was aware, but it wasn't like in my life or talked about on a day-to-day basis.
Should your parents have done better to shield you? And of course, like we're all adults now watching this, and there's a lot of us that like you are a product of that, and you're probably your parents' age now when they were trying to figure it out. And one thing we realized is like, wow, our parents were just trying to figure it out. They didn't have a handbook. They did not know.
Yeah, my mom had me around this age.
Yeah.
So this is probably 13 years
into it. Yeah.
Yes.
And so these people are just trying to figure it out, and then they're dealing with their own hurt feelings and emotions. Was your mom angry? Was she hurt? Did she dislike your father? She probably
all those things. She went through just an array of feelings. And for her, I think it was really hard for her to find a middle ground with which to not bring that into the relationship with me, and also respect that, and respect that there's a relationship going on separate of her,
right,
between me and my father. And there was a lot of tension, and that was something I grew up with on a regular basis. There was a ton of tension, and I knew my mom did not like my father, and I knew my father did not like my mom, and I knew it was not good. It was not good.
Okay.
And my father didn't really help.
Right.
He made things worse because of the way, because he was mad with my mother for, I think, my personal opinion was that I felt like he was mad with my mother for having me because of, just many reasons. But
right.
Because of that,
wow.
I think he lost the relationship with me because he was so focused on trying to get back at her in other ways. And so there was.
Have you ever had a conversation with him?
Haven't had it.
Have you had the talk with him? You've not had the why, Dad.
I would love to have a talk with my father. I would love to sit down and have coffee with him.
Why couldn't it happen?
I think that he's just scared to talk to me at this point. But there's a lot of deeply rooted things that happened that were involved that I'm not going to put out there, because I think that in a way I got to keep it PG-13 out of respect for the family and things like that. But I think as far as blended families go, and as far as how can you make the dynamic better, and how can you make it where, what did you say? You said earlier, how can you shield the child from certain things?
Right.
I think you have to understand, children take in everything. They can take in they take in all of it.
Children are like
your
sponges.
emotions.
Right.
We are. We're like sponges. We feel all of the things you're going through.
I think
we
us
know
as
that
adults, we
something
don't
is
give
wrong.
kids enough credit for being as smart and as astute and as observant as they are. I was a very nosy kid. I knew everything. You know, like parents would be talking in the kitchen. I'd just be listening on the wall. Like we hear everything, and we don't want to see our parents hurting. And I do think that children tend to sympathize more with the custodial parent. So when you see mom is angry and hurting, but you see dad over here remarried, having more children, but mom got remarried also. Did she get remarried before or after dad did?
Before him.
Okay. So, you see parents moving on, but then you see them holding on to this hostility and anger. And, the number one rule is keep the children out of adult affairs. Keep them out of business. They don't need to know how much you hate the other parent or your co-parent's new spouse. They don't need to know that. But kids are nosy. So it's kind of hard to shield them from these things. But as parents, we have to do a better job. I would never, ever, ever speak ill of my stepkids' parent, other parent. I would never do that. Not in front of them.
She didn't. My mother didn't speak ill. I just knew the dynamic between them was pretty
would you have preferred
messy because of how upset she would get about certain things.
What if they would have faked it? Like we see, we're going to talk about it in another segment on the show, but what if your parents just would have faked it for you? Would that have helped? Taking pictures together, both showing up to your recitals, both parents
taking pictures. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think anything that you don't want to do is, if you don't want to do it.
Even if it's for the good of a child?
Well, I think, small things, like that's a very small thing you don't have to do. Like taking a picture is not necessary, but showing up and supporting the kid. That's what's important, and it does do something, to see both your parents supporting you. It's just like just that good energy there. Yeah. There's just good energy. Energy, excuse me.
If you can do it, parents, show up. And, I know taking a picture might seem so minuscule and unimportant in the big scheme of things, but, these are
Find a way to
memories.
just get through it.
Get through it and smile and don't fight.
But I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know what that would have done for me. I mean, there's, once again, a lot of tension, a lot of built up emotions. There were so many things going on in that relationship. So
all right, so we're gonna get to the first topic. So this week in the group, somebody posted a video that was shared on Facebook, and basically this guy, he was dating a woman for 10 years. He raised the daughter as if she was his. They never got married. This guy and the woman never got married, but he regarded the daughter as his. And so she gets married. Well, she starts to plan her wedding. He begins to put deposits down on this wedding. He's paying for everything. All of a sudden, they have a family dinner. And there's a surprise guest. The surprise guest was her biological father. Now, this gentleman had not been around for her entire childhood. Whoa. But he shows up at the family dinner as a surprise guest. And stepdad is sitting at the head of the table, but the daughter, as her biological dad, or real dad, as she called him, to sit at the other end. So you got these two men sitting at both ends of the table. Stepdad, who's putting deposits down on the wedding, paid for her to go to college, by the way, and has been with her mother for 10 years. And all of a sudden, she asked real dad, I want my real dad to say the prayer over dinner. And then, stepdad is discussing things with her. And she's like, I don't think I can invite your 20 guests, but, my real dad is here. I'm going to let him walk me down the aisle. I'm so happy. Stepdad gets up, stands in front of the entire family and says, you know what? So I've paid for your college. I've paid the deposits here. I've done all this stuff, and I've done all these things and been your father and regarded you as my own. But he was pushed aside, and this guy basically called the wedding vendors, got his deposits back.
Wow.
He left the mother. He ended the relationship. He ended the relationship, got his deposits back, and basically it was done. It was donezo with the mother and the daughter. And a lot of people were just like, I agree with him, because they gave him no credit, and the mother should have done a better job at reinforcing that, hey, this man is here in your life. Real dad gets to waltz in at your shining moment, but he's not built up any of that. Never paid a dime in child support. And some people are like, the role of a step parent is not to take over the biological parent's place. And a lot of time they tell us, you shouldn't expect all this credit. I mean, you can be there for this child. Basically, they say it's a thankless job. And this guy, he knew what he was signing up for. But
I don't think he did. But
yeah, I don't think he did. So what's your take on that? You know, as a step parent, like you had a stepmom, you know, your mother was involved, but you know, I guess a lot of us can see, like, what if you were in this situation where a real dad came and then all of a sudden stepdad is pushed backward and real dad is brought to the forefront. How would you feel? Like that is messed up.
There's a lot going on to unpack with that. However, it is not, as a step parent, it is not your responsibility to take on the role, especially if the parent is present in that child's
well, in this
life.
case, the dad was not.
The dad was not.
Yeah.
So it's still not your responsibility, but if you feel like you want to build a relationship with that child and you want to have that child completely involved in, you know, everything that is a part of who you are, then I think that there's nothing wrong with that, and I think that's great that he took that on. But you have to understand, it's just like, it's giving. You're giving. You don't give to receive back anything. You give because you're giving, you know, because it's from your heart. It's just something you want to do. You should
could
want
also
to do
have
it.
biological children that could be thankless, ungrateful little SOBs, you know? And so it's just, I think it was just a matter of how they raised this girl. And, you know, why would you not teach her to be more grateful? But then one thing about it is, as a step parent, you have to remember, they always want a relationship with their absent parent. You're not a replacement. I mean, maybe you're a fill-in, but you're definitely not a replacement, because when new parent comes up, when new parent appears, they're just going to, you know, like, girls want a relationship with their daddy. So
I think it's rough because, you know, for me, I mean, that he was so involved and was so, but then we also don't know what their relationship was. Just because he did all these things doesn't mean that they had a good relationship.
This is true. There's a lot of caveats.
You know, there's so many there's so many things that go into that. However, she should have in some way found a way to honor her stepfather. You know, not leave him out. It sounds like it was messy. But
we have a group member who she recently got married, I believe in June. Her real father is pretty much the same scenario. Mom met her stepdad and married him when she was like 3 years old. And bio dad, he was kind of there, kind of not, but she allowed both of them to walk her down the aisle.
Which I think is great.
And I said, that's so beautiful and
at the end of the day,
honorable.
it's that person's wedding, so whatever she wants to do is what she wants to do.
This is true. This is
However,
so true.
You know, if he was if like you say he was, if he was really involved in that way, then she should have found a way to honor that. I mean, I would. I mean, if I had, I wish I had a father figure that was really around and just, you know, cared about me in that way and was really a support system in that, not just financially, but, you know, emotionally and all that. I would definitely honor that. I'd want that person to walk me down the aisle. And, I mean, that's, you know, there's something to that as well. So
moving on, I've been seeing a lot of stories lately, and we had an awful one this week to happen. There's a mother that tortured her 1-year-old child, and I'll put a picture up so you guys can see it. But she tortured her 1-year-old child. She put a plastic bag over his head. She burned him with cigarette butts. She did this all because the dad had a new girlfriend and he was not answering the phone. Turns out the dad was in jail. That's why he wasn't answering the phone. And the new girlfriend just happened to unblock the mom's number to see, you know, what was happening, what they were talking about, because she had his phone because he was locked up. And she sees these videos. I'm burning your son. Oh, you're not answering my phone. You're at that itch. This is like the second or third case where we've heard of a woman. And these women are so young. This woman looks like she's every bit of, she can't be 21 years old. She looks like a kid herself. So I'm seeing these women, these young mothers that are snapping and losing it and being vengeful against their own children. Have you heard any stories like that? Do we have any advice for when this happens? Like when a woman is about to snap, do we have any words for these people?
I mean, I know for me, it's, you brought the child into this world. You had the child. The child has nothing to do with the situation whatsoever. It's an innocent.
Right.
That's all it is. It's just brought into this world, and it shouldn't have to take on the baggage that their parents already have and are dealing with currently. That's not the job of the child.
To add more in there, this guy, the child's father, he also fathers 2 other children around the same age. These are all minority people, all broken families, and he's in jail now. So he has 3 young children and 1 very unfit mother. The police report, I did go find it. The police report said that they allowed the child to stay with the mother's family. So they removed the baby from her home, but she stayed with their family. So this lady still has access to this baby. So this doesn't sound like a postpartum issue, but who are we to judge?
Right.
Because the child is 1 year old, and we know postpartum can go on for years if untreated. And so I'm just saying, if there's anybody out there listening, and that there's a woman that cannot handle her maternal duties, and we don't imagine these unthinkables that happen so close to us, but this is our community, and it's our responsibility to give these young women outreach. Young women, middle-aged women, old women, we need help. So if you see somebody in trouble before this happens, and the only reason this baby got help and he was rescued and taken out of the home is because the girlfriend put it on Facebook. And she called the local police department. Cops did nothing. Put it on Facebook.
Because I'm thinking to myself, like, what would I have did in that situation? Like, how do you? Kudos for the woman who put that up on Facebook and tried to do something. I mean, it's like, as a community, as
right.
How do we respond to that? What do we do? What type of actions do we take?
Right.
The society has become all about not taking care of each other, selfishness. Like, what are these steps that you would take? Who do you call? Like, as I'm sure you can Google it if you want, but it's just, I understand how that can be really confusing for someone too. Like, I don't know if I should get in this person's business, but
right.
At the same time,
this lady was not getting any help when she called the local police department. They're like, no, there's nothing we can do. You can't prove it. She put it on Facebook, and Facebook came to her aid, and the police department ended up calling her, and they went and took and got the child out of the home.
That's
so you got to do what you got to do. If it was an emergency.
She tried. She went for it.
She tried. You have to exhaust all options.
Yeah.
So we have a member submitted post. I'm going to read this real quick. It says, as a stepmom without biological children, I want children myself. I have jealous feelings toward the fact that my husband shares a deep bond with his ex. How do I manage these feelings? I'm 43, so I'm not sure if I can actually have kids, but it hurts that he shared such a beautiful bond with someone other than me, and that we probably won't be able to share the same experience. I love kids, and I've always wanted my own. I'm just not sure it can happen. Can someone offer advice on how I can cope?
We're talking about a bond. Is the kid the bond?
So the lady is jealous that her husband, or I don't know if they're husband. Well, she's jealous that her husband had a bond of sharing a child with someone else, and she and he might not ever be able to experience that. So what do we say about that? Like, how do we help this sister?
Bond.
Yeah, like one thing I made the comment. Like me, I'm a stepmother, and I don't have bio children, but my husband, has 3. And I remember when we first started dating, I would be like, oh my God, I would just think of all these things like, well, I'm not going to be the first woman to give him a son, or the first, when we're rushing to the hospital together, giving birth, like, he's already been there, done that twice. He has a set of twins. That's why it's twice. But he's already been there, done that. And I was like, wow, it's going to be all so jaded.
I think there's something to knowing that he chose you, that you're with him now. He wants to be with you. That moment has passed. The only thing that is current is their child. Right. That's it. And that's where all the love goes. That's where all the support goes. There's nothing to be jealous about with the child. Right. You shouldn't be jealous of the child,
Or the bond that he shared with his ex, because it's an ex for a reason. Yep. It's an ex for a reason.
And there's no bond as far as, relationship with the ex.
Right. Right. And if there is, and you got something, that's another conversation.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But I agree. He chose you. And if there's any women out there, or people, or men even, that are struggling with the fact that their partner does have children, and you're worried about that bond, the bond was broken when the relationship ended. Yep. So you really, and they're with you. This person chose you. They got a chance to start over.
She's around, yes. She has to be, because they share a child together. Right. But
Right.
that doesn't mean they actually have a bond together.
Right. It's
The
not a
bond
fraternal thing, it's
is
not.
nothing you should be jealous of. The
It's nothing.
child is nothing you should be jealous of.
Right.
That's a fruitful relationship to
Mhm.
have, and that that for me, I think that shows that some great qualities about your husband more
Right.
than anything is that he wants to be in his child's life, and he wants to also share a new special experience with just you.
Right.
And that's something to be
That's so beautiful. It can be a beautiful
excited
thing,
about.
A lot of people talk about how difficult blended families are, but when you look at the root of what they are, we're blended because a child or children have been produced, and that's always something beautiful. And if we could just focus on the positive and focus on the kids, we wouldn't have all these issues we do.
And just to say, I mean, don't be resentful of the child. I think of myself because I was the child, right? So I was the kid who was always in my stepmother's life, who she had to constantly be around, when he had custody of me. And she decided, to build her own bond with me. She decided to build a relationship with me. And so therefore, it takes away all that attention, and it's not it doesn't become a selfish act anymore. It becomes, now you have a new relationship and a new bond to build with someone who is important to your husband, who's going to be important to your husband for the rest of his life. He's going to be in your husband's life, so therefore he should be a part of your life, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can build that, and you can build that relationship and make it special for you too.
And stay focused on the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Your relationship is the most important thing. You are married, so even if you're not a spiritual person, one thing we know is in the hierarchy, the marriage is the foundation, and then the kids, and then everything else. So as long as your bond is tight and your commitment is to taking care of those children, there's not an issue. So stay focused on making your husband happy, and don't worry about all that other stuff. So there's a picture that's gone viral this week, and it's the family. It's a cute little thing. It's a little girl in the middle, and then there's mommy and daddy to either side of her, and on the outside there's stepmom and stepdad. And I think this picture has been shared right now like 100,000 times. Wow. It's made the national news. It's all over Yahoo front page, and the comments, and of course we shared it in the Blended in Black group, and everybody's like, oh my God, I wish I had that. Mm-hmm. And these are the same people that I see, the ones that I see saying they wish they had that. They're the same ones raising hell. Mm-hmm. And so that begs the question, who is the issue in keeping your blended family from being a cohesive unit? Much of the time we have to look at ourselves. I've looked at myself many times, like, what could I do to be better? Mm-hmm. Has this person been dehumanized in my eyes? Absolutely. Have we had a difficult time? Absolutely. Is there resentment? Is there pain? Absolutely. But what are the steps that need to take to get from point A to everybody in t-shirts at a baseball game surrounding this kid, and this kid having 4 parents? How lucky is she to have 4 parents? Mm-hmm. What advice could you give? Or, let's have some dialogue on how do you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm the problem. I am the reason my blended family is not working out. Even if you feel like you're not, I think we all have a bit of responsibility. Even if this person is attacking you constantly, have you done a good job at acknowledging their pain? Because I found in my own situation, when I get attacked, mm-hmm. This person simply wants their pain to be acknowledged. They want and need someone to recognize the fact that they are hurting. Mm-hmm. Now, I can't fix pain that I did not create. It's hard for me to apologize for pain that I did not create. However, I can acknowledge it. So,
how are you currently handling that with your husband's ex?
My husband, I've told her this before. We've had a heart to heart, and there was still so much negative coming from her end, and I said, okay, this is a person that's still very much in pain. She would throw jabs and say ugly things, and then she would be nice again. So I could tell that she wanted things to be okay, but she just did not know how to find the end, mm-hmm. because she was still hurting. Mm-hmm. And, one thing I told her, I said, I did not cause your pain.
How are you handling that sort of a situation with your husband's ex?
In my own situation, one thing I had to do is, even if you feel like you're not wrong, you've not done anything, you still are responsible for acknowledging a person's pain. And in the beginning, I didn't do that because I'm like, I wasn't there. I didn't cause a divorce. This is not my problem. But then I realized I'm in this family now. I was the last one to join the family. The kids came before me. That marriage came before me. I'm the new guy. So, it was my job to sit and listen and observe. And I was sticking up for my husband so much in the beginning because I saw the things that was happening to him, and it was so unfair that I could not just, I made sure I never engaged with her. So I would always tell anybody, don't engage. If you're the new person in a family unit, don't engage. Just play your position. You sit and watch. And if you are dragged into it, don't say painful things, because when a person is in pain and they're inflicting pain on you, the last thing that you should do is strike back. And I know it sounds crazy. You're like, oh, I have to defend myself. You don't have to defend yourself against words. They are just words.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't have to defend yourself against something that you're not even involved in. Really,
these people
has nothing to do with you.
When and the key word here is ego, pride, and pain. Those are the three important things.
You are the new guy.
Right. And so even though I'm not the person that caused the pain, I'm the new face. I'm the carrier, and I'm the representation of. Right. I'm adding to this pain, and I'm the face of all these years of maybe trying to work it out, and disappointment and tears and just whatever. So that all fell on my shoulders, and so I could not fight back, because what I saw is an angry, very weak person in a very weak position. I can't say that they're a weak person, but I would say they were in a very weak place. And so that's like me, that's like a man in a wheelchair, who's wheelchair bound, and he's very weak. That's like him trying to strike out and hit me, and I strike back and I hit him with all my might. I can't do that, because that's not fair. So I would say don't use all your might when it comes to fighting these battles, because these women or men, they're battling some stuff that you didn't create. I didn't throw that dirt on you. I can't clean it off, but I can acknowledge that your pain. So what I do is I acknowledge it. And so I say a lot of, I understand. I try not to say I'm sorry, because, that puts you in a subservient position, and that makes them, feel more victimized. So, I'll say, I understand. Okay. I'll take that into consideration. I see. I use a lot of affirmative words. And then if I see it's not going anywhere, I just choose to just not engage, which I tell people all the time, don't engage. Just don't engage. So I'm not saying that, at this point, at this many years in, I can't say, oh my God, I'm the victim here, because I'm not the victim, because I have spoken up for my husband. If I see him disrespected, I'm not playing. Like when that man became my husband, when he became my fiance, I said, okay, no more talking bad, no more name calling, no more cursing. And, I don't know how that sounds from a person that is used to talking bad and name calling and cursing for 10 years, having a new woman come in and say, you're not going to speak to him this way, because there's a level of familiarity with this person. But now it stops. It stops when I come into the picture, because this man is mine now. So, and so I think that's like a hard thing for some people to accept as well,
I think it was a great point that you made about acknowledgement. I mean, if you're really in it for the long haul, if you really want,
that was my wedding hashtag. Y'all remember that?
If you really want to see this go far for a long time, you want to live forever with this person, this is your forever, then you have to find a middle ground, and you have to learn to acknowledge people who are going to be around along with you guys, not in the immediate relationship, not the direct relationship, but they are a part of your life now.
They are.
So you have to acknowledge that, and you have to, respect that as well.
One thing I say is, like it or not, this woman is my family. Whether she likes it or not, I'm going to be intricately involved in her children's life, and I will be an influence. And no matter what you do or how hard you try, or, how you use the courts as a buffer, or you distance them or try to alienate their minds, they're
going to be around.
They're going to
forever.
They're going to be around and forever. And the last thing you want to do is put negative feelings in your children. Like, babies don't deserve that. I've been told that my stepdaughter hates me. And like, I remember one time she called me bragging, so-and-so hates you. And I said, you sound really proud that you've implanted hatred in a child against a stranger. Because at that time, she didn't know me at all. She'd never met me. And I said, you seem really proud. And she just stopped in her tracks. And I think that employed her to think a little bit like, wow, I am doing this to my child. And that's not fair. And, a lot of times, I don't know how, well, I do know how we go from point A to point B. But just the fact of the matter that everyone should be aligned. Just for the sake of the kids. Like you said, your parents, you never really saw them communicate. It would have done wonders for the four of them to be at your baseball game and actually be high-fiving each other and being cool, and two dads are drinking beers together.
Yeah, like I couldn't imagine that.
Right. That's like so far from your reality, right? Mm-hmm. But it's possible. It's possible. And that's what we promote here in Blended in Black. We got one more topic.
Right.
One more topic. We got some good ones too. Okay. So I had this rant this last week because I saw there's a girl. She was bragging on how she had beat up her guy. She'd found phone numbers or something in this guy's possession, and she fought him. I took his phone and I smashed his phone and I stabbed him and I cut him and I bit him.
Wow.
And this guy, he called the cops. And his sister, and the thread was so interesting. I was like, oh, this is like juicy. In the thread, it was on Facebook, of course. In the thread, the guy's sister comes on the thread and is like, well, that's why he arrested you and went to jail. But then this lady, she got locked up. And we don't really hear of women, when we go into this hysteria and we start fighting guys. When the cops got there, it was reported that the cops started laughing at the guy because it's like, oh, she kicked her, you know what? Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing that we have to remove the culture of. Just because you're a woman, that does not give you a pass. So put your hands on another adult. This is not your child.
Still two human beings.
Still two human beings. And the fact that the cops laughed at this guy for calling for help, because had the shoe been on the other foot, that man would have been in the back of a police car. No questions asked. They probably would have whipped him, taken him to jail. He would have lost his job, lost everything. So this woman, I think she has a court date. And yeah. So have you ever hit a guy out of anger?
No, definitely not.
What do you think about people that, what advice can we give to chicks that do that? Because we all know some women that will fight a guy and will brag about it. What do you think about the guys that allow that to happen?
Allow? I don't know if any human being allows,
Well, a man is stronger than a woman, though. He is stronger than her, so.
Sometimes not mentally. I think we all have a little bit of strength in us at the end of the day, to fight back. But sometimes the weakness comes, right here.
Right.
So I just think that.
See, this would be like a much better segment if you were like one of those crazy chicks and you're like, yeah, I hit a dude. Because I can be straight up honest. Like, I've never reached my hand back and hit a man. I've never thrown lemonade and you see all this stuff on TV.
No one's ever made me that mad. No one's ever made me that mad either. I've been blessed. I've had really positive relationships with men. I mean, I've had some messed up things happen, but nothing where violence was involved at all. I
have heard some women give some really interesting reasons on why it was okay to where they could hit a guy.
What is that?
He acted up. He was talking to another chick. He didn't come home on time. He lied to me. It's emotional
all
things.
Don't seem valid, but
these are
that's
not
just
valid
my
reasons.
personal opinion.
So, ladies, I'm going to say this to you. If you're listening and you are raising your hand to hit a man, consider if this man reached his hand back and hit you the same way. Consider if, when your son grows up, he has a crazy girlfriend that's just like you, and he calls you one day and says, Mama, I got a black eye. Can you pick me up?
I think if someone makes you that mad, I really feel like if someone makes you that mad, y'all don't need to be together. It should never be.
What if it's a case where you just can't control your anger and you don't know
you're just
how to...
you're just that's how you express yourself. You're a violent person.
Right.
Then you need to go seek help and talk to somebody you need to get that aggression out in other ways. You need to find a way to get that aggression out in other ways.
Right. It's not okay.
Maybe you need to do some taekwondo. You know what I'm saying?
Go to the gym. Get a punching bag. Don't
take some boxing lessons.
Right. If you, I can't say that, these men, because women, we hurt. When we hurt deeply. Guys hurt too, and I'm not taking anything away from them, but we express ourselves in such different ways, and we give our all to relationships. So when you find that you've been betrayed and you do want to reach back and, smack them, you have to ask yourself, is this the right way to handle anger? And please believe me, you're doing this to this man. It's not going to make him change.
And I could play devil's advocate with this. You know, like I can see like the wrong situation, the most trifling situation. I don't know. Maybe I would want to hit somebody, punch them in the face, do an Angela Bassett, throw some, you know what I mean? Light a car on fire. Like, you know.
Light a car on fire.
I mean,
right.
That could happen. Could happen. But,
so you would hurt an object, but not a human.
Right. Oh,
that's still crazy.
That's interesting.
That's still crazy. That's still not having good control over your emotions.
No.
That's still nuts, though.
It's nuts, but depending on the situation.
Okay.
I just had this conversation with someone. I was like, I mean, if we were married for a long period of time, and then you gave me AIDS or something, oh Lord, child, like
you might get mollywopped. You might get your chin checked. Okay, well that's
a very small chance you could die.
Oh,
so I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Okay, so on that note, we gotta wrap it up. We have run out of time, but thank you guys for tuning in, and those of you that are watching, thank you for watching. All of the links will be shared here on the video. Thank you so much, Javana. If you want to see some of her work, I'm going to share this as well. Thank you for coming on. It's me, Javana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Naj.
All right, so once again, this is Blended in Black, and this is Miss Naja signing out.